Good morning, this is Mike from Daily Self-Reliance. This is another video on hammocks. But what I'm focusing on today is something that you can put into your EDC kit, something that's not going to take up a whole lot of space, a whole lot of weight. Not necessarily something that you might keep for a more heavy-duty personal shelter like a large, 10 by 10 tarp or something like this. We're going to talk about a multi-purpose tarp, emergency tarp, a small one that you can make yourself for just a few dollars, and it's going to serve you well. So what I have right here, this is basically a 5 by 10 tarp. I bought 5 yards of nylon material from Walmart. I paid $2.50 for it. It was a good, strong material. You have to be careful when you go there to get your material, because everything that they have has the same part number, and then it just comes in different colors and different weights. And I bought 2 different bolts of it. One turned out to be a much lighter weight than the other one, so I took the heaviest one that I got of the 2. I cut out a 10-foot piece of it and created this tarp. Now, I didn't do anything special that I didn't do with my hammock that was on my last video. I took the hems, I rolled them over and rolled them over again so it's doubled over, and I sewed it up so there's not going to be any fraying. I have a nice, good, strong seam. It's double stitched. Everything is great. I bought some ribbon while I was there. It's a good, strong ribbon. I cut off 6-inch pieces of it, and I sewed them on using a box stitch. I put one in each corner and one in the middle on the long side. So, I mean, really, other than the time I have involved in sewing, this tarp cost me $5 maybe. The thing about it is that it is small enough. It's going to fit in an EDC. It makes a good emergency shelter, but it can also be used as a hammock, and I'm going to show you how to do that real easy. Now, one other thing that you'll need, and you can make them any way you want. I made 2 of these. They're just a ring. They're about a 6-inch diameter ring, and it's made by taking my length that I chose of 550 cord, paracord, and I rolled them up the way that you would to make cordage, tied them together with a square knot. So I've got 2 loops, and these are essential to using this tarp as a hammock. Now, this doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be expensive, and it doesn't have to be some really fancy-fangled knot that you do this with, just to make an emergency shelter or a tarp. Now, in my EDC, I already carry a space blanket. It's one of those that's got, like, you get the green or the orange on one side and the silver on the other. I carry that in there so that I can make an emergency tarp, wrap myself up in it, and it'll keep me dry, keep me warm, whatever I want. So I can take this tarp, I can use it as a tarp, which it's perfectly capable of being used for a tarp. That's what it's designed to be, and designed to be a hammock. Now here's the trick to using it as a hammock. This is the short end, if you can see this. So I'm going to put the 2 corners together and then just kind of pull it all together into a point. And this is the beginning of using this as a hammock, and you just kind of pull it all together like this. Now, you're going to ask, okay, so what am I going to use to tie it up, to hook it up and use it as a hammock, So here's where it comes in. I'm going to lay this down on my knee for a second. You're going to take one of your rings, all right? And you're going to, like you would, you can see how I'm doing this. I'm just going to double this over so that I've got this little slip knot, okay? You guys have taken the end of a rope and doubled it over like this before, okay? So you double it over and you got this little slip knot. It's real easy to do. So we're going to take it. Now, you take both rings and you take your bundled together end of your tarp and you force it all the way through both rings, and pull it through whatever distance you need. This thing's 10 feet long, so if it's going to go between a couple of trees that are too narrow, I can pull more of this through to shorten this hammock. Now, once you've got it, you can see both rings right here. You're going to double this over like this. Now, here's where the trick comes in. So you've got the loop right here, okay? You pull it down over the top of your doubled over piece and pull it tight. And what happens is, you've got the ring around here, and it's going through your where you double over your tarp, and it collapses on itself and it pulls. So no matter how much weight I put on this, it just keeps pulling on itself and forms this piece here. You can see it's knotted over the way, and then you're going to take this and whatever you're using around your tree. I use a tie-down strap that I've made into tree huggers, and then you can just run it through here, tie it up, and hang it in your tree, and you've got a hammock. So what you've got is you've got a 5x10 tarp that you can use for emergency shelter that will also double as a hammock. Okay? The whole idea behind the equipment that you carry is that things are multi-purpose. Now, I'm not going to expect you to take my word for it. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to hook this into a tree, and I'm going to show you that I can lay in this and it will hold me up. With just this simple knot and this nylon will hold me just fine. Okay? Now, no matter how tight, this is another also important, no matter how tight this gets from my weight, I weigh 300 pounds, and this is going to hold me, but no matter how tight it gets, you wonder, how hard is this knot to get out? It's the simplest thing in the world, because you just take your double over piece like this, you pull it, and your knot's undone. That simple. Really easy. Put it back again, pull that ring over the top, pull it down, and you've got a knot that's going to hold. Okay? Now, I'm going to go outside, I'm going to put this up in a tree, I'm going to lay down in it, and you're going to see that this very simple knot will hold me. Now I'm going to show you how to do that knot one more time. Okay, you've got your grouped up into your hammock here, or your tarp. And incidentally, this same technique works if you've got a tarp and your corner's torn out, and a lot of people will take a little rock and roll it up inside the corner and then put their loop around it, tie their loop around it to tie down. You can take your tie downs, here's your ring, double it over, so you can see where there's two rings, you roll it over, you've got that loop. Everybody's done this before. Put that around the end of your tarp, your corner, just like I am. Push it all through the hole. Okay? Double it over, and then take this little and pull it back down over the end. Pull it tight, and there's your knot. And that's why this works for the hammock, and this is why this will work for tying down your corner of your tarp. If your grommet or your loop tears out, you just pull it together, stick it through the double end of the loop, roll it over and pull that piece down and tie it, and you've got it, and it's easy to get loose. So, if you really want to get technical about it, you don't even have to sew these pieces on like this, because you can make several of these rings and just loop it on the end and pull it over the end just like you would this tarp, and use it as tie downs instead of having to loop them through your loops. That sounds weird, but I hope you get the idea. So I'll try to put this up closer. You can see how that goes down through there, how easy that is to get loose. Okay? Now let's head outside and let's hang this thing up in a tree. Okay, so now I've already got my tree huggers in the tree. I've got one of the loops set up, so I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to take my tree hugger, go through the ends of this like I would any hammock, loop it through, put a little slip knot, take the other end of the hammock, and I'm going to group it together like I showed you inside. Take my little doubled over knot, stuff all this through that hole, slide it down over the end, pull my knot tight. just like I showed you in the house. Hook this up in the tree. You're going to hear a little noise from helicopters, and I'm sorry, the military's in the area doing a test. Now you can see I've got this sitting in the tree. Okay, there you have it. It's hanging in the tree. It's got the two little slip knots like I showed you. See, those two little slip knots are holding my weight. My shoes are wet, so I'm not going to get completely in. But you can see it's holding me just fine. Like I said, I weigh about 300 pounds. So this setup is more than adequate to make a hammock or an emergency tarp or whatever you want to do. Feel free to post any comments, any questions on doing this, on how to get this done. But this is something really simple to make a real simple little emergency shelter / hammock for you. $5 invested in it, and it's a done deal. Thank you for watching. Okay, I wanted to take a second to demonstrate that knot again, and kind of telling you, like I told you about, if the end of your tarp tears out. So I've got a corner of a piece of nylon here, and we're going to pretend that this is a corner of a tarp that is torn out. The tie-down strap is torn off of it, whatever you want to call it. So here is my cordage that I would be using as a tie-down, and I've doubled it over. And I've made a loop in it, okay? You see the loop? Now you take this, you double it over like that. You've seen that, where it's just a little loop. Here's the corner of your tarp that's torn out. Normally you would be taking it and putting a pebble in here, rolling it over, and then putting your string around that pebble. But it's not necessary. You can take both pieces of this loop and pull your tarp through. Now if you had a pebble in it, you'd be putting these loops over the pebble, but this is what you don't have to do. You double it over, and then this piece that comes down to tie down, you actually pull it through a little bit so that some of the tarp is going through. I hope you can see that. Then when you pull this tight, it holds your tarp, and you don't have to have a pebble. It forms its own little knot that just gets tighter and tighter the more you pull. And no matter how hard and how tight you get that, you just take this little piece and pull it, and your loop comes loose. It's that simple. So that's the same knot that's used to make my tarp into a hammock, and the same knot that you can use to hook your tie-down strap to a tarp when you've torn out one of your grommets or your little loop. So that's an important piece of information to be used for a multi-purpose situation.